Hey everybody, this is Grace, and hopefully my camera won't get too hot. It's 95 degrees here in Texas, north central Texas, north of Dallas, and it's 11:59 a.m. noon. Okay, and I wanted to do a video. I'm not sure if I'm going to add it to another one that I did along the topic of basically dating, but this one is not going to be about dating. Not really, but maybe in a way. So that's why I might add them together. This is more about self-image and body image. Those are two separate things. A self-image is something like, you can look it up. It was something like, how you see everything about you. Like pretty much your appearance, your what you can do, your abilities, your appearance. And I looked it up, and it's even personality. I think it was Webster's or something online. But and then body image, of course, is how you see your own body. Okay, how you see, like some people, their body image is off. They think that they're real fat, and when they're just rather average. And some think they're too skinny when they're actually overweight. Something like this. I've known people who are both ways. So that, and add to it narcissistic attitudes. And I'm going to be talking about people around my age who have, I'm a younger baby boomer, some say older Gen X, and people from that part of the generations and upwards, and how they are about, not all of them, of course. It would be a generalization, but yeah, not everybody. It's just the ones who do this. It's the ones I'm talking about who have this really negative thoughts about, like, fat shaming people. Some of them do that, or how people are supposed. I'm going to be talking about females, women, from young to old. And how some people could shame them or talk bad about them. So it's going to be that. Now, the younger generations, as far as I have seen, generation right now for me would be the millennials, and that I have seen grow up enough to be able to say that not many of them are like that. At least my experience. I don't have any statistics or any research on this to point toward, but from what I've seen in my own little world, this is my own opinion, I could be wrong, what I have seen is that they don't have that. And I'm going to talk about this when a woman, a female and or woman, females are also minors, when they're overweight or obese. Okay, they're not too skinny or something like that, or look anorexic, but they just don't have the average look, body size. And it's obvious that they're overweight or obese. Okay, let me just try to give an example. Let's just go to this. Someone my age, my ethnic group, a woman, a female, who has experienced it since she was a child, was always bigger, kind of like me, than the other girls, and went through high school. Now, my age group, we didn't, at least where I attended, we didn't have that much against. I didn't even hear the word bully until I was older, out of school, or maybe I might have seen it on one commercial, but it wasn't something that, was really pushed at the school, to not bully somebody because of their weight or whatever reason, not to bully anybody. That was not the case. Bullying happened quite often. I mean, quite often, and not just to me. It happened to me. It happened to other people that I knew, other people in my class that I wasn't friends with, didn't matter. Bullying happened quite often. Now, let's say that somebody was bullied their whole, this woman, we're going to say she's a woman now, was bullied her whole life. Now she's in her 50s, mid to upper 50s, and she's been bullied her whole life because of it. Now, she can, now, some people would, say that there's a problem with her mentally, psychologically, emotionally, whatever they want to call it, because she is aware of this, and she's aware of her size, and that it's not the average size. And if something comes up, she says, well, she acknowledges that her body is not the average. Some would say she has a problem. Now, it does depend. Some people might have a problem, but the way they say it, as if that's, crushing for them or whatever. But there's so many ways that could be actually an issue. But let's just say it's not. She's just aware. She has this body. There's, it is what it is. Okay, we're learning. We've been learning for years that, some people are overweight or obese not because they eat too much. Okay, ask your doctor if that's the issue for you. But she's been bullied quite a bit. Now that she's aware of her own self, her own body, she has an appropriate body image for what she is. She is overweight or obese, whatever it is. She's aware of it, and she acknowledges it. But others are going to say that she has a problem because she acknowledges it. It can get very like, what? Really, it gets like, what? They will blame her. They'll point the finger at her somehow, some way. Some people, like I said, this is just the people who would do this. And it makes it, like trying to make it worse. Now, she can see herself in the mirror. She's seen herself for 50-something years in the mirror. She knows what her body is. She's seen other people plenty of times, TV, in person, whatever. She knows what an average woman, her size looks like, weight, what the body size is, and all that. Okay? So it's not her being down on herself. It's not her whatever, like I said, it depends on how she puts it, but just say she's just acknowledging it. But some people will say that's an issue. That's one thing that has to stop. Now, I'm thinking that with the younger people, that's not so much in millennials, that's not so much of an issue all around, because they are not that judgmental, I think. The differences in everything from ethnic groups to all of it, I feel this way. I could be wrong. Now, I have known millennials to have an angst toward people in my generation and generations and upwards. Not so much their grandparents' age, which would be my mother's age, my parents' age, if they were alive. So, anyway, no generation is perfect. Okay, it's 2 or 3 days later, and I did not finish that video. So I have to try to remember where I was on it. I had some notes, and this was about self-image and body image. And I checked off some of them, so if I repeat myself, oh well. Yeah, that's how it is. Anyway, I'm out here doing my videos like this because it's 80 degrees Fahrenheit. It's early June. And yesterday, I think we broke a record. It was 100 degrees. But our summer times, which is coming, June 21st, 20th, somewhere around there. You would think I would know them by this time at 57 years old. But, yeah, our temperatures get into the 110s at some point. So anyway, I'm back here, and now it's 80 degrees, so it's good. So I was talking about self-image and body image, and I know this is kind of dragging out, this video. Mine usually do. If it's not your thing, oh well. If it is your thing, it's okay by you. Click the circle icon at the end of this video to subscribe if you haven't already. So, the part of my notes, let's see. I'm going to check them real quick. I wanted to take a little twist to all this. I know I was talking about the body image, and that, women, whenever, people, they're not blind to what they look like. Now, there are disorders. We're not going to talk about people who have any kind of body image, body disorders, image disorders, or just, Yeah, we're just going to talk about people who know what they look like. Okay, this is people who know. But there will be some people who will still say things, you know, that they're down and depressed if they even acknowledge it. It's like you shouldn't acknowledge that, yeah, you know, you're not body perfect. So, I mean, there are some people who will mention it too much or something, but who's judging you here, for one thing? But anyway. But what about people who don't have that kind of body image? Okay, that they don't think of themselves as, you know, that they just think of themselves as average, or they are average. Okay, now they may go through life without any problems. You know, seriously, the ones with the ones I have known, I cannot say this 100% across the board. This is just my opinion. I could be wrong. This is my view from what I've known from my 57 years here. And I just had a birthday. And yeah, and it is that we're going to have issues, especially around my age. And maybe even worse, they've been taunted and teased and, you know, along this line for so much of their life. And it doesn't stop. You would think it would stop when you get into your, you know, age 50. It didn't, yeah, it doesn't always stop. I know some that have some serious issues because they, at their age, they still are getting taunted by people, just strangers it can be, you know, about their weight. Okay, and one of the things I wanted to mention with this was, you know, what about the ones who are, they have a great appearance, okay? They, you know, good or great. They're good looking, or they're beautiful, handsome, you know, great looking. Let's put it that way. And, but if we're talking about women, you know, it's beautiful. And I want to do that. I think I'm going to just wrap this video up and take these notes and add it to another one. Yeah, another video, because it's going to get confusing. And like I said, I didn't finish that video, so yeah, it's probably not going to go anywhere. So it'll have to be a part 2 to it. And okay, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Hey everybody, this is Grace, and pardon the way I'm doing my videos during this pandemic. And although some people seem to think it's over, it's not. And I'm not going anywhere unless I have to. Anyway, in this video, it's basically a bit of a part 2. I might add them together at the end, might decide just go ahead and add them together. So if I repeat myself, yeah, that's why. But I'm going to have to repeat some of the stuff for if I make it a second video. But it's about people with body image, self-image. I'm going to focus on women, and let's say women that are older like me. I'm 57. I just had a birthday, and I'm a white woman, and that way, you know, just focus on people. Okay, just that. Someone closer to my age, and who am I awake yet? I need to get some caffeine in me. Let me tell you. But I wanted to talk on this one, especially about people who are histrionic. And now, not all women, not all histrionics are women. They can be men too. And I wanted to just describe some of the behaviors they could have. Now, I'm not diagnosing, I'm not saying as far as the histrionic personality disorder, but some of the behaviors that I have seen in my life. Okay, read the disclaimer in the description box below this video on YouTube. But what I have seen, these are women, I've seen them all my life. I mean, I really think. So that they're very theatrical, you know, like drama queens. And everything's kind of like a drama to them, or they make so much a drama to them. Now, as far as appearance, they're usually a little bit, at least a little bit, good looking. I'm not going to say they're beautiful, but they're often just good looking. There's usually some kind of flaw that they would, you know, well, I'll get into that, but some would see it as a flaw. You know, they're not, you know, so no, they're not perfect. okay, in their appearance. And the flaw is usually somewhere on their face. Now, I'm not one to talk about flaws in other people and stuff, but some people would see that as a flaw. And, but they're usually, like I said, good looking, and they love to show off their body, especially when they're younger. They'll wear very suggestive clothing, and they'll act suggestive, And but when they get older, it's usually that they don't want to look their age. And I know some people are going to have big problems with what do you mean in their age? But yeah, there's a thing. There's people who tend to be histrionic, or another cluster B might say something like that. What do you mean? But if you're say in your 50s and up, and you dress like you're in your 20s, yeah, that's a little bit histrionic. If these are people who tend to look very loud. They look loud, they sound loud, they laugh loud. Everything about them is loud. Okay, you see what I'm saying? These are the ones I've seen. You go into a restaurant and they are just make sure everybody sees them. They love that attention by talking really loud. Like you go into a restaurant, you know the score. You're not going to sit there and scream, and laugh and cackle. They cackle to me. It's a cackle. So loud that the other diners are looking over at you and telling the waitress or waiter to go and ask you to, ask that person to not be so loud, that there are other people, be considerate. Yeah, we all know that, but them, they would not know that. They would say that the other people have the problem. Okay, now, the histrionics, in my experience, they don't care what kind of attention they get, negative or positive. It doesn't matter as long as they're that center of attention and they're getting that attention. Okay. Okay, now as far as body image and self-image and all that, these are ones who, in my experience, like it could be different for you or anybody. In my experience, these are ones who they really don't. Now, if people point out to them that like they're say overweight, okay, I don't fat shame anybody at all. Okay, now, but they are the type that would fat shame, and if somebody fat shames them, says you've gained a little weight. They might go to extremes to try to get it off, to lose that weight, and possibly even harm themselves, to do so, like starving themselves or something. Not a good thing, not at all. But they may fat shame others, though. When they start losing, or if they've lost weight, then they'll fat shame anybody else. They just keep it going. They don't see that that's abusive. They think that that's constructive criticism. No, they're fat shaming. Now, there is constructive criticism, but no, the way they do it, no. It's like a mean girl kind of thing. And, yeah. Okay, now some of them that I've known that have like a narcissistic blend with their narcissistic histrionic blend, they don't care what others think, because they truly think that nothing is wrong with them ever at all. So they don't care, what other people think about their body, how they look. Now, in some we get how we look at ourselves by others. We can see ourselves in the mirror, but the way others respond to us, we develop our image, and that's the same thing as self-image, that whole looking glass self. But to them, nobody sees them, they don't care. They don't care what people think. They look in the mirror in the pond, the lake, or however you heard the story, and they just see beauty, pure beauty. Okay, that's when they have this narcissistic little blend to them. Now, these are, okay, now, let's see. Now, overall, the ones I've seen, they tend to be comfortable in their own body. Okay. Okay, I was looking down at my notes, and I wrote that they're comfortable in their own body, but the twist to it, well, what I've seen is they're maybe too comfortable in their own body, and they think everybody else should be very comfortable seeing their body. Like I said earlier, they would dress rather suggestive. Now, I can remember one time I was working at a, it was probably, goodness, about 14 years ago at this one place. I just started the job, and I was doing it as a temporary job, and there was she was a young woman, and she was a manager of a certain department, not mine, not the one I worked in. And a bunch of people were in the break room having lunch, lunchroom, and there was an older woman. She was probably around my age now, and then there was me and other people. But this one, manager, she was young, and she always wore her shirts really low. Okay, now these were all women in there, all women, and she's a woman. She came in with her shirt so low that the woman that was sitting next to me, and then she'd bend over, and you just pretty much see everything. Seen that happen more than once, just too many times, and you could pretty much see everything. And the older woman told her flat out, she said, "Do not do that again." Along this line, I don't want to see all that. And that younger woman was her manager, and was shocked. Well, she had a witness, okay, me, at least one witness, me and others, that she told her that, that was dressing very inappropriately, and it was, there is a limit to how much people want to see, and that young woman, she was definitely histrionic. Her behavior was histrionic, the way she dressed and all that. But, there are limits, okay? And these histrionics seem to be way too comfortable in their own skin. And that they'll pick on other people saying, you're just not comfortable in your own skin. Well, I personally think that there's some things that we shouldn't be extremely arrogant. And that's what I see as these histrionics. It's also being arrogant. Very arrogant, that they are body beautiful and everybody should look at it. Everybody should, glorify them. This is what they want, to me, and see them as the example for all. No. Okay, I think people who are comfortable in their own skin see no reason to show it off. Okay, they don't have any reason to flaunt it. Okay, the people with good adjustment. Okay, and as I mentioned in that other part one of this video, is that some people are told that if you worry about your body image, then you have a problem. Your appearance, then you have a problem. Okay. And some will tell them if you don't, you have a problem. You get it anyway. I'm trying to read my notes here. Okay, when I wrote these notes, I was thinking about people who do videos, and who do videos. It's not just on YouTube. It can be on any platform, social media platform that allows it. And there are a few, at least several, maybe. And I think I've often noticed that the people who tend to do that, I have seen. Now, I haven't seen them all, so I haven't seen probably the ones you've seen. But the ones who do live streams, they're on live. These are histrionic. They don't care if it's bad attention, good attention. They love the attention. They're comfortable with their body when sometimes they're showing way too much of it. And and that's a person. Some people say that's personal, but no, there are limits. You can get arrested for some things. So you see what I'm saying? There is a limit. But to me, they're the ones who are more comfortable with it. Okay, like I said, because the way I see it is they're comfortable because of everything I've said right now, especially that part of they love attention. They don't care what kind it is. They love the attention. Okay. All right, let's talk a little bit more about this, self-image, body image. Those are two different things, but self-image is, more about all of you, and body is body. But, all of, like what you're capable of doing, your personality, and so forth. Anyway, about fat shaming, or or just blaming the victim all around. One of the things that I wrote down was about a story from a few years ago. There was this beautiful woman, I'd say, this type that I'm talking about, like the histrionic, not exactly beautiful, but close enough to it. And, they always, like I said, have some kind of flaw, and she did. But she was in her 40s, I think, and she was talking about women, that too many women, and basically this type of women that she's not, kind of normal. She would talk about them that they're just too much wanting to play the victim. Okay, that they're just always people going around saying they're the victim. Now think about it: a really nice woman who just doesn't care about what she shows off, or maybe not. Maybe when she was younger, she did that. But, what kind of trouble would she have? If you're good looking, and would you have trouble with people, and you have a good body beautiful, your nice appearance and all that? What would you know about being a victim by people who will do that? Will victimize somebody because they're not body beautiful, that they're not good looking. But she, I mean, seriously, really, she's a beautiful woman, but trying to talk bad about saying, people who aren't, as if she knows. I don't know. I think you see what I'm saying. And, yeah. But around that time, there were also another one who was older, and she was the same kind of really loud, very obnoxious, all this kind of thing. But people liked her. And often there's some people, there are little groupies who will like them. And she was basically saying that abuse is only physical. Anybody else they're just playing a victim. They want to be victims, of this or that. And it's along the same kind of line. Women who, it's their fault kind of thing. It's their fault for not, taking care of themselves. And that way, if they took care of themselves, nobody would pick on them. This kind of mentality. And it would just shock me to think that this is just within the past few years, that people still think like this. And both of them are, I think, one of them say, is in my generation, or actually I think they were generation younger than mine. But I'm at the bottom of the, younger baby boomers. So we're talking Gen X. And some say that I'm actually both because of the year that I was born. It can go between both of them. So either or. But people around my age, not everybody, but those who do, it's just like, where are you sticking your hand in? Are you sticking your head in the sand? We don't allow that anymore. It's just that they don't grow. They stay at a young age. When they were young, mean girls, they don't move past that mean girl stage, and they continue to bully and abuse, other people. And then they know that they even realize that not everybody has the opportunity to be beautiful, or to be good looking, or to be a certain weight. Weight is not just because you overeat. It could be a big part. I'm not a healthcare professional, but yeah, they just don't realize that, and they don't care. I think the big thing is that they don't care. It's they're getting any kind of frustration, because they're not perfect, but they don't want to say they're not perfect. They think they are, but they're getting any kind of frustration out on somebody else. Their anger. Okay. Yeah, I looked to see how long both of these videos would be if I put them together. I might do that. Like I said, there is another subject where I wanted to get to with all of this, and that is something that really has bothered me for many years, probably most of my life, is the way the women who are not body beautiful, I'm going to call it that way, and they don't have any problem with it themselves. They know that they're not body beautiful. It is what it is, that kind of mentality, and the way they're treated. Okay, sorry about that, allergy. attack came on before I finished that, but the way they're treated by men. Okay, I'm talking about women, and the way they're treated by men, like such as men who are, you know, maybe this would be about relationships, okay, and narcissistic behaviors by men. So I think I need to make that a whole separate video, and really to get to it. Now, it's not going to be my view. I want to make sure that's known, but it would be what some of these men I've seen, how they have, what their view is of some women. Anyway, I'm starting to cough. I've been sitting out here making videos, and allergies are getting to me, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Talk to you on another video. Bye.